Drive to Survive is made to entertain. It is not an official recap of the season. Drive to Survive is a Netflix show in order to get viewership. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Formula One True North, the Canadian Formula One podcast. We're back with the boys. We got Ed and Thomas. Missing in action today is our boy Walker. He's on March break, so I get it. But today we are going to get right into it. We are going to be talking about the newest season of DTS Drive to Survive. There's been a lot of controversy going around about the new season, and it's brought up controversy from old seasons. But while I have you guys here, what are your thoughts on Drive to Survive as a whole? And then get into what you think about what went on this season.
Honestly, like the first few seasons during the heat of the pandemic, it was good. Like it, as I said, like in previous seasons, that they literally copied what the UFC did in order to kind of bring back the love for the sport, the love for just seeing the back end or the behind the scenes of what's happening within the sport, and humanizing pretty much the entire experience. And it worked for the UFC. Now they're a multi-billion-dollar company, and the recipe is there. A lot of different industries, a lot of different sports, entertainment have done the exact same thing, and it works. However, in the past few years, I never got into watching 2023 season and this most recent 2024 season, because at that point, like, I already knew what was happening. I was in the know of what was like the background stories, different podcasts that I listened to also on the back end as well, and different press releases. And I tried a few episodes of 2024, just like the first episode, but I'm like, it doesn't feel the same anymore. I think it's lost its luster at this point, but that's my personal opinion. Thomas, what do you think about it?
So overall, I really love the series, or at least I used to when I first started watching as well. It really brought me back into the sport, made me curious about all the drivers, the teams, However, with 2024, I'm only a couple episodes in, but the first episode I started watching, it was very, very hard for me to get in. I don't know if the way they started off with the first episode with Christian Horner and his struggles at Red Bull per se, but it wasn't enjoyable. It was missing like that, almost like an oomph, second episode with between the rivalry between Max and Lando. It caught me off guard a little bit, right? I'm like, is it true that they, spoilers alert, but I'm like, is it true that they really, really hate each other like that? And then I kind of have to go back into Google and what people were saying, what other podcasters were saying. It's overdone by Drive to Survive to cause drama and excitement. That did not really, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but that did not sit really well to me. It seemed like clickbaity and really misleading.
You guys got to remember something. Drive to Survive is made to entertain. It is not an official recap of the season. Drive to Survive is a Netflix show in order to get viewership. It is also aimed at people who do not watch Formula One, because if you watch Formula One as in-depthly as we do, we don't need a recap. We don't need to get more excited about a sport that we're already excited about. It's made to get people into the sport. So I think once you understand that concept, I'm way less upset at the storylines they try to spin, all of the, rivalries they try to make happen, all the super small things that they exaggerate into like apocalyptic things that happened during the season. But, towards your point, Ed, like, I got into Drive to Survive during COVID. And, I remember when poker and UFC got really big. It was when the hockey and the NBA, the NHL and the NBA, were on strike. And so you take these little moments of time where people's attention is up for grabs and you pounce on it. And Formula One did that second to none, because it was the first professional sport that was back. before basketball figured it out, before they had all these, even UFC when they were fighting on the island and everyone was isolating in their little social bubbles. Formula One figured it out first. And so everybody's eyes were on Formula One, and it was unreal. And it got me excited about it. It allowed my friends and family and everyone that I know, they got excited about it too. It was the only thing we could do was sit at home. And then they gave us this beautiful, dramatized version of Formula One in a nice packaged little form that they call Drive to Survive on Netflix, nonetheless. And everyone has Netflix. So they've made it accessible. They've added some storylines, and have they over-exaggerated things? All facts. That's okay with me. I think it's a really cool way to help get people into Formula One. I got a buddy who's like, hey, man, you keep talking about it. I see your podcast online and all that stuff. What's going on with Formula One? Tell me about it. Help me figure it out. And the first thing I always say to them is, just check out Drive to Survive. Start at season 1 and just get into it. I saw him 2 weeks later. He's like, I'm 4 seasons deep. The show is unreal. I can't wait for Formula One to start up this year. He was sold. And like, is he going to get into it? I don't know, but it's good enough to sell somebody in a big way that quickly. Moving on, though, I do want to touch on some of the pieces in the new season of Drive to Survive that came out maybe a little off base of what the reality was. Ed, you got something?
Yeah, before we start getting into the nitty-gritty of things, spoiler alert, who hasn't watched the latest season, that's what we're going to talk about. So if you are, you're big on like Drive to Survive and you're listening to us right now, thank you for listening to us before Drive to Survive. But there will be spoilers, so you've been pre-warned. Don't hate on us. And lastly, I just want to also point this out. Because you mentioned this, like we were afraid of Formula One being off during the COVID season. Can you imagine if Formula One was off? Where would we be right now? There won't be Formula One True North. There won't be Parc Ferme, our old name. So you know what? Thank you, Drive to Survive. Thank you, Formula One, for giving us a little bit of like a podcast career here. Anyway, continue, Drew. Go ahead.
On that note, we're coming up to a year here as Formula One True North, but our 3rd season as a podcast, which is absolutely wild to think about.
Yes,
that I've known you clowns for 3 years, and we've grown a serious fan base in order to do that. Which I also wanted to point out, there is going to be a watch party this weekend at Trinity Commons. If you guys want to come out, check it out. They're hosting a watch party. It is the Australian race, so it starts a little bit late, but doors for the watch party are at midnight. We got a table. Come check us out. I won't be there personally, but Ed and Thomas will be there, and you can come see them and watch the first race of the season, which is going to be big. They're going to pack the place as they normally do. And we'd love to have you out. So
yeah, we'll be there.
Back to the goods. Verstappen, Lando.
God.
In this fake ass rivalry that they tried to conjure up during the 2nd episode. You know what? It was funny because I was kind of half watching it while I was like scrolling, cooking there, doing the, you know what I mean? And I was watching, and it was like, I saw the pieces of how they kind of spliced this together. And I was like, Max didn't say that. I saw him, all of the drivers ran up and gave him a big hug. Congratulations. Because the whole Lando no-win thing, was finally over. His curse was broken, and every single driver, every single team principal was happy for him. So
yeah,
but that doesn't make for good TV. Nobody wants happy, rainbows and daisies all the time. People want to see they love the drama. So that's what they're trying to give them. But what else did you guys find that was a little bit, misleading or controversial?
They wanted to pin Max Verstappen as the evil dude, as the antagonist of the entire show, because he's like, he's the man on top, he's the man to beat. And then, you know how everyone loves an underdog story. And they had to do that because everyone else in the entire grid, and and as you just said, Drew, the entire grid, everyone said, congratulations to Lando, and they needed to kind of set that balance. and Max was there.
Oh, I personally didn't like it. I didn't like the rivalry that the one that they ended up making it to be. I think it was too much, and I get it, the entertainment value. I get your point, Drew. Who watches a happy story? No one wants that. Everyone wants that, fighting, that drama, and it's okay to a point. But as I was saying before, it even got me for a second, and that's kind of, if it got me, I can't even imagine getting someone new. Someone new coming up to the sport. They're like, holy crap, this is a savage sport. Like, every sport has its own dramas and stuff, but to this extent, like, are they really like that? They would start questioning and making up their own reality of the sport. And I think I don't know if overdid it is the right word, but I think they pushed it a little bit too much. And like I said, I'm only on sort of just finishing second episode, but it just, the way it started, even with the first episode, it didn't really grab my attention too much. Again, we all watch Formula One. We all knew what was going on in 2024 with snippets here and there. Drive to Survive puts a whole different perspective and drama over it, and it's now you get two conflicting stories. And again, as someone as a new fan, you wouldn't really know, in my opinion, you wouldn't really know who to believe. Do I believe the media, what they're saying, like at F1 websites or something, or do I believe the show, or there's something more that they're not telling us, right? So I personally thought it was too much for me personally. Like, I get it, the entertainment value and all, but just overdone.
I want to piggyback on what you were saying there, because you're right. When I first sat down and started watching it, and the first episode came on, I was watching it, and the whole Christian Horner controversy, like, that was the first thing that came up, because in reality, that did happen just before the first race. So, like, it was chronological in a linear timeline, which I'm cool with. But it also got me. I was like, was this a bigger deal than it was? Like, I knew we talked about it, and, like, we had a couple episodes where we were talking about Christian Horner getting handsy at the Christmas party, because it was kind of like just after, like, the Christmas New Year's when this news got dropped. But I bought into it. Like, Drive to Survive sold me, and I knew the truth. So that means they're doing a good job at it. But let me ask you this then. Do you think they're doing such a good job at manipulating the truth that they're potentially, like, tarnishing Formula One's image? Because that's a big portion of what they have going on. Liberty Entertainment protects, Formula One as good as they can, because that's their bread and butter.
I don't think so. Because, as you said, this is all about entertainment value. This is targeted to people who have no clue what the hell Formula One is. They have no idea who Max Verstappen is. They have no idea who Lando Norris is. They just absolutely zero knowledge. So it hits the mark on that. I think what would be more alarming is possible future ramifications of how drivers would react and when they're being filmed by Drive to Survive. The authenticity of the way they portray themselves in front of the camera, because whether you like it or not, it's part of their contract that they need to be interviewed and whatnot. And maybe Max Verstappen might be super pissed off after the season, because he has been vocal in the past few years, but this year he was like, "Nah, this is not cool. This is not what I said. This is not how I felt about things." And he might pull a Kimi Räikkönen, wherein when he's being interviewed, one word answers. So, I mean, at this point, it's on the producers now. What kind of content are we going to get from the world champion if he's going to be like that? I think that's my biggest worry.
See, for me, and I'm pretty sure you guys can guess it, yeah, I think it is tarnishing. I think they're pushing a narrative that's not necessarily true, and I don't think that's right. Putting on a different set of glasses or a different set of eyes, if I would watch that as, let's say it was on TV and I watched that as the first episode or the first two episodes, I already have a narrative. Max is the asshole, he's the bad guy, and he's the villain of the story, which, I don't like Max per se, like, as a person. Like, he's a good driver, but, like, what even they're spinning on him, I think it's too much. And every story has to have its villain, and they're just throwing Max essentially under the bus and making him look like a complete jackass, a complete asshole, fabricating a story, which it's a lie. And I'm gonna go in circles here. It's all entertainment and everything, but they're pushing a narrative that it's almost kind of like fake news, and I don't know how I feel about it. It's kind of disheartening. I get the drama. I enjoy a little bit of a drama, but at least make it more truthfully. I guess that would be my issue. Again, like they might not see the entertainment or the value in that, but are you trying to make something relatively real or close to that, or are you just fabricating everything? Because if that's the way, season 7 we're at right now, right? So if that's the way season 7 starts, what's going forward, season 8, 9, 10, whatever, how are they gonna just start spinning more stuff, more bullshit, or they're gonna stick more a little bit to the truth? Because if they continue doing this stuff, I don't think I'll continue watching it, honestly.
So I got a big question, which is like, I'm just curious, genuinely, as to why they choose some truths and not others. Because, like, after watching a big season, there's a lot of things that happen. You know what I mean? Like, some notable things that happened in, like, Ollie Bearman got his first race in Ferrari, thrown in, appendix, the whole kit. And that was kind of completely missed, that Ollie Bearman wasn't there. Number 2, we had, do you remember the Weight scandal with George Russell, who was underweight? So, like, he won that race pulling some magical tire whisperer strategy, and then he ended up getting disqualified for that, and Lewis Hamilton ended up. So, like, where were those? Like, those were highlights. Like, that was crazy. We did whole podcast episodes on that. Like, that was a real thing. Like, Ollie Bearman coming in, like, that was, like, we were praising that. There are some significant things that happened in the season that were completely missed by Drive to Survive. Now, my question is there an actual reason? Like, was it that they weren't trying to paint Mercedes as incompetent? Like, was Mercedes like, whoa, you can't put that in there, that we screwed up so bad that, like, George lost a win? Like, I'm just trying to understand the logic, because they clearly could film the race. I can understand, like, oh, we weren't allowed to film this show in Belarus or whatever the fuck, you know what I mean, because of whatever legal reasons, so they miss a whole race. I get that they're not at every single race during the Drive to Survive series, but you were there at the race when George quote unquote won, where the Weight scandal happened, and then they just neglected. In my opinion, that's a much better narrative, especially for new fans, to understand that, like, these are the things that happen after the fact, that somebody could walk out of there with a trophy and then have that trophy taken back hours later, days later sometimes. So, like, to me, I just think that I don't understand their end game. I think if they're like, I get that they're trying to build excitement, but to me, that was more exciting than the reality that they gave us.
Oh, yeah.
I think, I agree with you, Drew. I think that was a huge missed opportunity in Drive to Survive, and I don't know what was their reason for that. Maybe there is some teams that said, no, don't film this, or we don't want this, and they respected it. The other part is, maybe they didn't see the value of showing that, which is, to me, it's boggling, because that stuff was really entertaining. Like you said, Drew, we talked episodes about, all these guys, what happened, and Drive to Survive completely ignores it, but concentrates, again, on Max Verstappen and Lando Norris rivalry, which is, fine on its own, but, like, come on, it's I don't know what was their end game. I really don't know why they did it, and it's a huge missed opportunity, because I think that would have been really cool to see on the show, and given a small explanation to see how the drivers felt and reacted while they're on camera, but instead just nothing. And just disappointing. So to answer your question, I don't know why they chose not to do it. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I we can't be beating the dead horse, but I have to say this too. Like, my biggest miss was Lewis Hamilton's first win since 2021. I mean, come on. Like, he is the 7-time world champion. He hasn't won a race in ages. And they didn't even, like, put emphasis on that. Adrian Newey moving into Aston Martin. Yes, they put enough emphasis on Red Bull with Christian Horner and Max Verstappen versus Lando Norris, but that's another big thing that they glossed over. So, I mean, at this point, I have a feeling the referencing F1’75, that guy that missed the installing the wheel on the Mercedes car. I think he was a producer or the script writer of the entire thing. Honestly, he missed the mark all to it, all the way. Like, not only did they gloss, like they glossed over all of the important stuff that they should have talked about. They misrepresented a lot of facts. They misrepresented a lot of drama that weren't really drama per se. And hey, who knows? Maybe next season, Drive to Survive, they'll do better. Whoever did the script writing for this one might actually get a slap on the hand and might get the axe. But yeah, definitely not a good look. But then again, they'll never learn until they make mistakes.
I wonder too, because another big portion of what happened last year was, they mentioned the internal struggles going on with Christian Horner, but that was done and dusted like the first 2 episodes in Drive to Survive. They kind of put that to bed and didn't bring it up for the rest of the season. And in actuality, it kept going all season. And Red Bull's internal struggles were a very real thing, to the point where they lost like their golden goose, Adrian Newey. Wheatley ended up taking off, and a couple other people have left the team.
That's right.
That was a major talking point throughout the entire season. And that to me, like, if somebody was just watching Drive to Survive as a new fan, they would come in with a very tarnished image of what 2025 is going to look like, right? Because they're going to think that Max and Lando hate each other. Absolutely hate each other. They have no idea that Adrian Newey left and is now at Aston Martin Racing. And they still think George Russell won that Grand Prix. There was no mention that he got disqualified, which is, I get that you might not have the coverage or the footage, and trust me, coming from like a film guy, I understand it. Maybe they hit record and they totally forgot because, they didn't get disqualified till hours later. So they'd already shut down shop. I get it. But to not mention it somewhere else in the season is beyond me.
So to your point, Drew, exactly. Why couldn't they just put in like a little snippet of text like they do in the movies or documentaries? This race, so and so got disqualified. The trophy ended up going to so and so. Just something. But to the fact that they did nothing, that's what bothers me too.
They missed the mark. It's as simple as that, guys. Like whoever did the editing, whoever planned all the shots, and you'll know this, Drew. Like whoever did the storyboard probably was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, or they might have lost footage somehow. Like
I disagree though, because I think they do know what they're doing. Because I have watched the seasons and I have been entertained and I have been brought back into the key points of a season. But what I'm not seeing is that like either one of two things happened. They either didn't have the footage, so they couldn't use it in the editing room, because those guys are great editors. If you watch that show, the editing's fantastic. The suspense they build, all that stuff's fantastic. But my thing is like, who on the way out the door, the editor press, okay, we're going to render this out, and before it goes to Netflix for them to upload, nowhere along that chain of command did anyone say, hey, let's watch this and make sure it makes sense.
You know what?
You know what I mean? Because the guy that's editing is probably some little Asian dude at a desk in Thailand, has no idea what the Formula One even is. Or
someone pulled an Adrian Newey and just left the team.
There you go. Halfway through the editing, they're just like, yeah, I'm out of here. This party sucks and it smells like farts in here. And he just
what a real possibility.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any other crazy points about Drive to Survive, at least this season, that you like or don't like?
I mean, like, I want to go down the path of like, now with us talking about this, like there's the one side of the coin we're in. We want extreme amounts of drama, extreme amounts of tension, and elaborating
entertainment as well,
issues and whatnot. Or do we want the journalistic integrity type, wherein it's factual, and like super down to facts and whatnot. Because to your point, Drew, still pointing out that this Drive to Survive series are for people who have no clue what Formula One is. And mind you, these people that are watching, they're on their 4th season now. So probably they would know about Formula One already because they've been watching. They're 4 seasons in.
As
So
a Formula
where do
One
you guys
fan,
put yourself?
I always looked at Drive to Survive as a quick little recap of the season before the season starts. They always put it out a week or two before that Formula One season starts as like a quick little recap. And to me, it was always historically like a little reminder: who won what races, what were the highlights, you know what I mean? Like what was kind of going on behind it. And then there was always this little tidbit of like the things behind the scenes that we never saw, right? That the coverage on TSN and Formula One TV or wherever you're watching it, we don't get to see. Right. And then once it passes, they're on to the next race. They're into the next city. And so we never get to kind of go back and see those like behind the scenes, those conversations behind closed doors and all that stuff that Netflix does have access to, which I think is fantastic. What I don't think is fantastic is the fact that they're manipulating those conversations, clipping things with other things, misrepresenting entire portions of a season and rival or quote unquote rivalries or disagreements between teams, all that kind of stuff. It just doesn't make sense to me because you're not spinning. It was a good season.
It was.
It wasn't like
it was
a max
fantastic
domination.
season.
It was a great season. You didn't
Yes.
need to lie about it. Like there was
No.
nothing that needed to be exaggerated. It was a great season if you just played it out, gave us a little behind the scenes, and then played it out properly. Like
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
They could have essentially recorded the whole truth, presented the whole truth. Obviously, they would have added their own Drive to Survive spin, and it would have been amazing.
It
But
would have
that's
been
again,
fantastic.
it's another huge missed opportunity. And I don't know what were they thinking? Did someone quit? Did someone not give enough of a or they just got lazy, or someone just said, hey, let's essentially misrepresent and create drama and excitement. And I think for us like hardcore fans, that left, or at least for me, it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, it sucks in a way because like you're right, Drew. Like I couldn't even say enough about last season. Like I was pretty vocal about how the season was just like fantastic. Starts with Max Verstappen, then a little bit of a fall, Ferrari showing up a little bit and then falling. Like and then McLaren showing up and then so many things. Like they could have done better. They could have done. It was the most fantastic season in the past decade of Formula One. And why? So, but either way, like, and that's where my personal point of view on that end is, had they kept the journalistic integrity and then added their flair, which they've done for the past how many seasons, even from the very start, they would probably have racked a lot more people. Less controversy. And on top of that, if the drivers see like this is what we really experience, they'll probably be a little bit more candid because they're represented properly in this series. So, Drive to Survive team, please listen to the Formula One True North crew because you know what? We're giving you all the juice. Just get it done right. Listen to us. Maybe consult with us too. All for it. We're right here.
Now, I want to throw a quick question to you guys. Considering how I'm just watching a second episode, but considering how this Drive to Survive season went, how they represented Max and Lando, do you think there's a possibility that some drivers like Max wouldn't want to participate anymore just because of the way they're being represented by the show?
Possibility. High possibility.
This is why Max hesitated participating in the first seasons, because he knew he was going to get painted as the bad guy, and they did. And that to me was just like, why are you making his dreams a reality, his nightmares a reality, right? Like this is the last thing. Max is at a point now that he doesn't care. He knows he's the best, so he just doesn't care. But this is the exact reason why he didn't want to be in the first couple seasons, and he wasn't. he had no interest because he's like, no, I know what you guys are going to do. You need a villain. And you knew he was going to get painted as a villain because that was when they were going toe-to-toe, blow for blow with Lewis. And I don't want to keep kicking a dead horse. We're done with this. We shit all over Drive to Survive this season. I think the filming was really cool. The camera work was cool. The editing was cool. The drivers were even cooler. I just think they did something with it that didn't need to be done. On that note, we're going to move on. While we have a quick pause here, check out our socials. If you're not sure what Discord is, jump into Discord, download the app. It's worth your time. We got a bunch of dudes in there. We're having a great time talking about Formula One all the time, and it's fantastic. We could also hit us up on TikTok, Instagram, everywhere you can find social media. Formula One True North is there. So come check us out. We really appreciate it. And if you don't feel like doing that, just hit like or subscribe or follow us wherever. You can get your Spotify podcast, Apple Pod, anywhere you can get podcasts. That's where we're at. We do appreciate the support. It's big. But we are going to start talking about the season because, boys, it's race week. It's race week, and we are headed to Australia for the first go. Us here in Toronto, North America, that makes it an absolute miserable time to start watching a race, but I'm here for it. That's what happens. It's part of the game. Formula One is a global sport, so you can't win them all. And it starts in Australia. I always like Australia. It's a nice track around the park there. So, guys, what are you most excited about? What are you least excited about? Give me one of each. Let's go.
Most excited about how it just got released. Mr. Oscar Piastri got extended with McLaren till 2026. So or end of 2026. So that's really exciting to see him on the grid for a couple more years. Hopefully, together with Lando, hopefully they could bring back more podiums to McLaren. I'm excited for that. What I'm least
he's an
excited
Aussie
about,
boy, so he's got no home race right away.
Home race,
Aussie boy, yeah, great timing. Least excited probably would be the Australia race as well, just because of our time, the time that we get to watch it. So it's going to be a long night, but it's worth it.
Oh, it's Saturday night at midnight. It's not that bad. China's worse at 3 a.m., right?
We're going to be at the watch party, dude. So don't.
Exactly.
That's right.
We'll see. We'll be watching it with the fans. Make sure to hit us up on the socials, please. We're going to be at a Trinity Commons, and come meet your Formula One True North host right here. So please do. Favorite or what I'm expecting would be, what I'm most excited about rather would be just the racing in general. Turn one. I want to see what happens in turn one. I want to see the pace of the cars. I want to see our favorite, Lewis Hamilton in red. I want to see the pace of McLaren. Those are the things I'm really looking forward to the racing. What I'm least looking forward to is if there's going to be a lot of rain or if there's going to be a lot of weather issues. I don't want any stoppages. I just want pure racing, good weather. I want to see how every car stacks in the grid. That's all I want to see. Hopefully weather's going to be great. Hopefully everything is going to be good. There won't be any issues at all. But yeah, let's get to racing.
Honestly, I'm excited for the first corner too, but for very different reasons. We have a lot of rookies on the grid. There are going to be a lot of guys who don't know what a first turn of Formula One is going to look like. They're going to be going in with their elbows up. They're going to not know what their brake distances are. And it will be anarchy going into the first corner. So I'm here for it. Same as Ed. First corner is going to be awesome. I'm not looking at the pace. Well, maybe I am looking at the pace. It's going to be a little bit messy, but, I know that Australia is going to have at least one safety car, full reds. So it's going to be an absolute disaster, especially with those rookies. Thomas, you got something to say? I can see.
I do have something to say. I wanted to ask, what is I kind of know the answer. The prediction of a crash in the first corner is probably relatively high. How many cars do you think are going to be taken out on that first corner, permanently out of the race?
DNF? Yeah, okay. I'm going to say 2. There's going to be 2 in that first corner. At least, you know what? Let me not say the first corner. That might be a little exaggerated. It is a big long one up to the first corner. But
first corner only. We're just talking first corner.
First corner only. I don't know if there's going to be any retiring on the first corner.
I hope they take it
I-
easy, or
I think there will be some
push it.
damage. I think people are going to be hitting each other. You're going to lose a couple wings, maybe a puncture, but I don't know if it's going to be full DNF on the first corner. That's a big impact.
I'm gonna take your previous answer. I'm gonna say 2 at least on the first corner.
Wow. Okay. I like it. Ed, what do you got on
Okay.
the over-under on this one?
I would take it a step further.
Oh, no.
Which rookie is going to get into an accident, or which rookie is going to get into either a spin or a DNF? I'm
Doohan.
going to say Jack Doohan. This is sort of like a home race for him too.
It doesn't matter. He's all.
It doesn't matter? All right.
He's Kiwi. He's Kiwi, right?
Cool. Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
For me, I have a feeling it might be either Hajar or Bortoletto, because these guys are coming in real fresh. Because Bearman has already experienced it. Doohan has experience as well. Kimi Antonelli does not have a full race to him, but he was able to try it out last year. Spun out, but let's see. Here's to hoping.
I have a feeling Kimmy might also be involved. I don't know why, just a strong gut feeling. Yeah, first corner.
Okay,
Total was
like
probably
it,
going to be
boys.
on you after that.
I like
but...
it. All right. Well,
how about you,
while
Drew?
we're
Who
on-
do you think? Who's
honestly, I think Doohan's going to be into something. For some reason, I have a feeling that Albon is going to be into some. I know he's not a rookie, but I just have this feeling that Albon's going to be doing something stupid, and I know there's that S bend, and I think he's going to get absolutely clipped there, like George did last year. Wasn't it Alonso and George? Was it? I can't remember. Anyways, yeah, I think that Albon is going to get into something this weekend. But let's get some predictions for the podium, boys. Give me a 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God, here we
Remember
go.
do you remember when we had an entire season where we had a 2, 3, 4 prediction because Max was always number 1?
Yeah, that's 2023.
That was a real thing. We just didn't bother talking about the first place. We just gave it to Max. So
exactly.
Give me
no,
a
it's
1,
not.
2, 3. New season, new us. Look at us. Let's do it.
Okay, so for 1, I'm gonna say the McLaren boys, either Lando or Norris. But I have a feeling they're gonna be
Lando and Norris.
Lando or Norris, or Lando or Oscar.
You knew what I meant. Lando or Piastri.
Oscar.
Yes.
Okay.
2, I want to say Max, believe it or not, which I don't. I have a feeling he's going to come back strong. And 3, Sainz.
Wow.
You know he doesn't race for Ferrari anymore, right?
I know.
Wow. I mean, I love Sainz.
before-
I love Williams, but damn, that's reaching. Honestly,
That is reaching.
That's reaching. I mean,
That's reaching. I'm going to go Lando, George, Charles.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go Oscar because I'm rooting for McLaren. It'll be Lando P2.
Wow.
Hamilton
1,
P3.
2, really, eh?
That's a big papaya podium.
Hamilton P3.
All right. Well, I hope you're right, dude. I hope you're right on that. Like, I hope I'm right because I like being right, but I hope you're right because I like your guys.
Yeah.
I hope I'm right with Sainz, because then I could just say
You're not going to be right with Sainz.
I hope you're right because
If you
I
are right,
am
and you
rooting
pull out
for
this
him.
dark horse, buddy, I'm buying you a new microphone on me.
watch Sainz is going to take like P3 or higher now. Watch.
Yeah, right, buddy. This guy sounds like he's screaming into a tin can. It still blows my mind. He goes to get a new microphone, and I think he gets a worse microphone. Fucking blows my mind. Anyways, is there anything else you guys want to add? We are going to be skipping our favorite game show, the best way to end every episode, unfortunately, this week, because Walker's missing. And if you have a guy missing, we can't just go get cheeky points like that because that's just unfair. We don't play that game because, well, we're Canadian and we're polite as hell. So we're going to skip that this week, guys. But did you guys have anything specific you wanted to talk and or mention before we head out tonight?
No, I think from my end, I think I'm good. Just looking forward to racing. We're back.
I
baby.
know.
We're back.
I know.
We're back. Let's
go.
While Christian Horner's drama doesn't seem to be ending, he's back in, I think, court to settle that tribunal with work, and there's a media blockage on that too. So his nightmares cannot get away from him. So there's that.
So let me ask you this. I don't know how much you know about it, but for a little bit of clarification for myself and the listeners, is it the same thing just finally getting into court, or is it new shit that's getting stirred up? Because those are very different things. I know the court process takes a long time. So like ultimately like a year ago, it got to court and now they're finally dealing with it is totally kosher.
Yeah, so it's still the same thing, same people involved. I know, as we all know, he got cleared twice, and I think the person appealed it again. So now it's going to like a workers' tribunal court or something. There's a media gag on it in the UK, so no publications, no one's allowed to talk about it. Red Bull hopes they could settle this out of court. But yeah, just another kind of like it's been a whole year essentially, and he still can't get away with it. So that's in the news as well, which I found kind of interesting. It's after essentially cleared twice, and you're still going through that. Must be tough.
Welcome to the big leagues, bro. When you're on top, there's only one place to go, and everybody wants to pull you there, buddy. So yeah, well, you know what? I hope Christian Horner gets what he deserves. So if he did something shitty, get what you deserve. If you didn't do anything, I hope you get off on this and back to racing, because there are 1,000 more important things you need to be worried about than some stupid court case, whether he wins or loses. But that's it for me, boys.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Like Red Bull can catch a break this season, but we'll see what happens. Let's get back into racing. And you guys that are listening, please, Discord, Instagram, YouTube, like, subscribe, comment. I mean, if you have any questions, we got mailbox box in the Discord. Feel free to reach out to us. See you this weekend, Trinity Commons. Your boy Ed and Tomas is going to be there. Drew's not going to be with us, but he's going to be there in spirit. I don't know about Walker. He's all March break at this point. We'll see. But yeah, let's get racing.
That's it. Ciao for now, boys.
Peace.